Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Gentleman Reviewer. This week, I'm going to be reviewing my first Fisher Space Pen. So this one is the Fisher Space Pen Cap-O-Matic in matte black. So you can see it's non-reflective. It's advertised as a military pencil, so it's something that in pens like this I've seen, like it's non-reflective, so it's not going to reflect any light or anything if you're out in the dark and you're trying to remain stealthy. But for the average person, I mean, I think it just looks cool. I never write in the dark, and I never have a reason to not be seen. So with that, this is my first Fisher Space Pen, and like I said, it's the Cap-O-Matic. This one seems to come in quite a bit of varieties, and it seems to be one of the more customizable pens that Fisher makes. And I've seen stuff, they've got all the military branches for this pen and all the holidays and just a whole bunch of different designs that vary in price. So this one I think I got for about $12. It's a little bit nicer because it's solid metal. It's the only one I've used, but I have heard that these come in plastic as well. So the price range on these pens is about $10 to $32 depending on the option that you want to get. And it's kind of a good introductory pen when you're getting into the Fisher Space Pens because it's not too pricey like the AG7, their flagship model. But it's a little cheaper than the Bullet, which is reasonably priced. So this one is one that I immediately liked right out of the box. It came in a really cool box. You'll have to look at the picture of my blog. I forgot to go and pull it out of storage for this video. But it has a rocket launch on it of what I think is a Saturn V rocket. It looks a lot like the Saturn V when I looked at some other pictures online, but don't quote me on that because I'm not super familiar with my rockets. So right off the bat, the finish on this pen felt really smooth, and I've noticed over time that it is fairly, like it's pretty durable. As with all of my other pens, I carry this in a pretty stuffed pad folio that's got a metal ring planner in it. And as you can see, let's get a little closer on the finish. You can see it's not, like there's no, let's get it to focus finally. There's no scratching on it anywhere, and you can see it's just a very nice, even coated finish. I've also been surprised that with the clicker mechanism, like that, how it rubs right there, that it hasn't worn any of the paint away. And I'm actually really surprised by that. I figured when I saw this design, I was like, that's going to rub away there really easily. But Fisher did a really good job with the finish on this pen. So it is a little bit smaller than some of the pens that I like, and it's a little bit thinner than I like. It's actually, so here's a Parker Jotter. It's actually darn near the same size. The Jotter's a little bit shorter because of the clicker mechanism at the top, and when you engage it to get the refill out, this bounces back up, whereas, and the Jotter does too, but it's just a hair shorter, you can see. Not by much though, and it's darn near the same width. I think it's a little bit thicker on the grip section than, I don't know how well you can see it, on the grip section than the Jotter. But as I got used to it, it grew on me a lot, as some things tend to do that I've reviewed on this blog. Wasn't too fond of some features at first, but you know, you get used to them. This was also one of the first ballpoint pens I've used in a while. I tended to stick to fountain pens for the longest time, and then I had roller balls or like a Pilot G2 that I was using as my pen when I didn't want to like lend out my fountain pen or have people sign stuff with a fountain pen. So as I got used to that, it got a little bit easier. I got fatigued at the start, but you know, that happens when you're going from a fountain pen or a roller ball to a ballpoint pen anyway. But I got used to it. The medium refill on this, let's pull it out. It actually does write fairly thin for a 0.7 or a medium refill. So I've appreciated that because I do tend to have some smaller handwriting. One downside with these refills, the medium ones, that seems to be a pretty common experience, is you do get some railroading. Let's get this over here. So this is my Jarbo.grid journal, which I reviewed last week. Check out the video if you're interested in looking at it. So let's see. Fisher Space Pen Cap-O-Matic. So I don't know how well you can see on this, but you can see a little bit of railroading right there. This one seems to be doing better today. But that seems to be pretty common, or a little bit blotchy. Let's see if I can zoom in on the C for you guys. Or a little bit blotchy right there. You can see like some of the white paper coming through. I've heard that that's not a problem with the fine point refills, and I really want to get one of the fine point blue refills for this pen, and then I think it will be one of my overall favorite pens. I also want to get one for my Zebra F701. That's the only real downside I can think of for this pen. As far as the specifications go, it's brass and steel, which gives it a pretty good weighty feeling. The center of balance, let's see if I can get this in the shot. Whoop. Center of balance is a little bit, I cannot do this well with the camera right now, is a little bit higher up from the middle, but with such a small pen, it's hardly noticeable. I know some longer pens having a center of balance a little bit closer towards the tip makes it a lot more comfortable. But this one, I mean, it's so small, the center of balance is sitting about right here when you're writing, so it's not a problem at all. As you saw when I took it apart, it's a 2-piece pen, got the refill in there, and there is a spring in there that I can't get to come out right now. I don't know if it's supposed to come out. I think it has before. Trying to put that on backwards. But this does fit together really well. I've noticed with some pens that are screw like that, and some of my fountain pens like the Nemesine Fission especially, and the, I can never remember the name, Singularity, the screw would come loose and start to unscrew over time. This one seems to remain pretty sturdy, and I've really liked that, because it's just kind of annoying having it loose and maybe it would fall off or not function as well. So the pen itself is about 5.375. I like how it's specific down to the thousandth with Fisher Space Pen. But it's fairly short. The clicker mechanism is pretty quiet compared to, say, I don't know if I click the Parker Jotter for you guys, but pretty loud. This one's pretty muted. Let's get another. This is an all steel Zebra F701. Again, pretty quiet. So Fisher Space Pen did a good job on that. Not very loud. In comparison to sizes, let's get a couple more pens over here that maybe you guys are familiar with. So it's fairly short. I mean, here I've got, you can see the Precise V5. It's a little bit shorter than the Precise V5. Pilot G2. Let's get that lined up. A decent amount shorter than the G2. I think I said V2 right there. It's about the same length when you don't include the clicker mechanism. Here's a Zebra G301. About the same length. So it's a pretty average sized pen, even though, like I said, I feel like it's small. Maybe it's the grip that's throwing me off. Or one of my favorite pens as of recent is the Sarasa Grand, which is pretty beefy. And it's pretty weighty as well. I'll be reviewing this in a future video. But this one seems to be a pretty good pen that I like a lot. And it's about the same length. Maybe it's just the grip that's small that's really throwing me off on it, and its weight, since it's a little bit lighter than like the 301 or 701, sorry. But it's heavier than the Jotter. Alright, I feel like I'm going all over the place, so let's wrap this up. So again, the Fisher Space Pen, I think they did a great job with this Cap-O-Matic. It writes really well. It works consistent. Well, that's the refill that writes really well. But it's a solid pen. The finish is very, very good on this pen. I've really enjoyed using it over the last couple weeks, and I'm going to miss using it when I move on to my next ballpoint pen review. But, you know, that's part of doing these blogs, is you move on from the pens that you like and find new things. So Fisher Space Pen, you guys did a great job with this pen. Very well designed, very good finish on the pen. This feels like a pen that you could throw in your pocket with some keys and not have to worry about the finish getting damaged. I wouldn't do that just because I don't want it to get scratched if I can help it. but this one seems very, very sturdy, and like I said, they did a great job with it. So please like and subscribe if you've liked what you've seen so far. I feel like I was a little all over the place with this video, trying to get everything in. Didn't follow my notes too well, so I apologize if it seemed a little like, ooh, squirrel. But thanks for watching, and like I said, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you like what you've seen so far. Have a great weekend, guys.